All right, guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of a demo here of a hip hinge from the point of the bones themselves. So come close so you can see this. This is the head of the femur, and this is the acetabulum. That's where the femur goes into. And this is the pubic bone here on the pelvis, and these are your ischial tuberosities, the bottom. And then this is the iliums, and the back is the sacrum and the tailbone. So this bone goes right inside of the acetabulum. And so we have now a couple of ways that we can hip hinge. The one that you're going to hear me say, and the one that is a little bit confusing to people, is hip hinging from, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get it so you can see this, hip hinging from the pubic bone. And so that is taking the pelvis and hinging it on the leg bone. So you can see that that's a hinge. We're hinging the pelvis on the leg bone. And it comes from the front of the pelvis. The pubic symphysis drops down. Now what's going to happen whenever that drops down is, you can see back here, this would be where the low back would be if it was on there. It's going to change the shape of the low back. And it changes the shape of the low back because we're moving from the front. So I like to call things in terms of, this is really the driver. This is where the movement initiates from. And then what happens in the low back, that's just a response. A lot of times I find that people want to drive the movement from the low back. So we don't want to think about arching the low back or flattening the low back. That would be driving the movement from the low back, and it's not a very effective movement because it never really gets this hinge action going, because that's not what the low back's job is. And the other way we can hinge is the one most of us think of. It's like the leg bone, right? It comes up here. And then the other way that we can hinge is both of them together. So we can come to here, 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 and just continue, and that's like sitting on the floor. So if you were going to come to sit down on the floor, come into a squat, especially a really low squat, both of those actions would come into play to be able to get yourself down without it turning into strain on the low back. And again, what you're going to feel is there's responses. So we drive the movement from here, the pelvis, not from the low back. So I hope that that kind of clarifies it a little bit, because that is the one that most of us are not used to doing, is just dropping that down to get movement. Okay, so then I'm going to stop this one, and then I'm going to do an exercise that will help you maybe feel that hip hinge in action that you can play with. So I hope you guys have a great day, and hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, please post, and I will try to make it a little bit clearer to you.